We've been having issues lately because we did a big America road trip last year and he wasn't the best to me throughout the trip. He was always breaking up with me and being quite cold. But as soon as he went home early for work and I stayed behind, his tune changed and he suddenly being super kind and seeming like he was actually in love with me. This really upset me because I would have loved that version of his whilst traveling, so I felt like I needed to distance myself slightly. But I couldn't because he was getting super depressed and telling me he was suicidal at home because he lives alone with his dad and he doesn't really have any friends. So I would make sure to call him even though I ideally wanted a break. And when I thought about just breaking up with him, I told myself that it wouldn't be fair to do over text or even call, and I would do it in person when I'm back home. Anyway, when I arrived back home, I kinda just wanted to spend a bit of time reconnecting and taking things slow because I didn't want to get hurt again. But he booked a surprise trip to Paris to say sorry. But for me, this was too much too soon. I communicated this with beforehand also when he brought up the idea. I just wanted to take things slow and not rush. But I was suddenly thrown into this really romantic situation in Paris and it felt quite overwhelming. So on the trip, there were times I got quite irritable with him, which upset him and made me feel guilty. Then for the following month, there were a few times where I found myself just maybe pulling away slightly and being a bit more irritable than usual just because of how upset I was after America, and I felt like he only wanted me back because he was home alone and feeling a bit lonely. I was just feeling a bit mugged off a bit again, and after all the breakups especially, I didn't want to get hurt again, and I communicated that with him. It had only been a month at this point also. Anyway, shortly before he went to Vietnam, we celebrated Valentine's Day and we actually had a really nice weekend. I was in a better mood and I was really coming around the idea of us being good again. So then he goes to Vietnam. And at first he isn't really great at messaging me, but I understand he is busy. And then we had a call, which upset me slightly because it was our first call in a while, and it started by discussing something. And lied to me about this. We have already been working on trust within our relationship, and when I kept telling him I felt off about the last-minute FB marketplace fine, he kept assuring me that he would never do anything to hurt me. Am I overreacting? I had done wrong. I can't even remember what it is at that point. It was that small, but since he finds it hard to get over things, it took up our entire call, and I couldn't really talk to him about myself or his trip, which in turn just made me irritable. Anyway, following this, I get quite down myself because I am in quite a similar situation to him. A lot of my hometown friends have moved away and I just live with my parents. But remembering how him being down whilst I was in America made me feel I didn't want to be a burden or ruin any part of his trip. Anyway, flash forward a week. We have a call and he tells me that he's upset, but he still wants to move in with me and he loves me and he doesn't want to break up with me, which was really reassuring. But then a day later, he sends me a nice but kinda scripted sounding text saying how he wants to break up, how the relationship isn't working, and how he doesn't want to call to make things easier for him. I am devastated and I am home alone and I have no one to speak to. I tell him this and how I feel this isn't fair on me and how I just want to talk. And how I am not coping well, I felt terrible. But he just says stuff like, you'd have never coped well with it and this is it. I am not going to message you again, but I wish you happiness. It felt like it wasn't even him talking and I was just getting these really almost corporate sounding replies. And then on the same day, he posted smiling beach photos and bike rides with friends on his Instagram. AIO for feeling any of that's insensitive, especially the photo thing.